I'd like to open by saying that I'm on the road to 1,000 subs. A small milestone, but nevertheless, I'm grateful for your support. As a way to thank you guys, I'll be starting a new series, Spynalysis. Think of it as how a spy thinks, but with a lot more spy theory for you guys to learn from, and a lot less gameplay that are featuring bots who I can only imagine were coded using LEGO Mindstorm scripts. These videos will be structured by showing the clip in its entirety first, and then I'll go into the circle strafing theory afterwards. Now some of this theory will be theory that I thought of while I was playing the game, and some of it will be theory that I derived from watching the clips after the game. It's important to record clips of your gameplay in case you fail a stab or get a confusing kill. That way you can go back into your footage and see where you were possibly messing up. Now what can you do with all these new clips that you've gathered? You can send them to me. I'll put a link in the description so that you guys can send demos or clips to me to analyze in the future. My regular tutorials are still coming out, but this is just a good way to fill the time between uploads caused by procrastination and a busy school life. Enough talking, let's get right into the frags. Let's start from the beginning. Right off the bat, I disguise as a friendly scout. I disguise as a scout because I want people to chase me. I'd rather have no disguise and just start frag hunting, but sentries would be a huge issue. So I disguise as scout because I'd like enemies to see me and immediately know I'm a spy because of my walk speed and then try to pursue me so I can stab them. I don't really disguise as scout to avoid getting headshot, because from my experience playing sniper, it's not that hard to aim a few pixels higher than usual. As it turns out, the soldier's model and the spy's head hitbox actually has a larger displacement than the scout's disguise. Anyway, just because I use a scout's disguise by default doesn't mean that you should start using scout disguises all the time. I disguise as sniper or medic as well. I mean, it really just depends on the situation. It's funny though when you keep disguising as scout only and the enemy team complains in chat about how their teammates cannot kill the obvious scout spy. I wanted to stab the sniper, but I saw the Razorback and decided to kill the demo man first. I shoot down the sniper because stabbing the Razorback didn't seem all that worth it at the time. This casual match just started, so I don't know any of these players or any of their levels. I have to run in blind and hope that my recognition is good enough so I can just start fragging right away. You can see me try to matador this medic at first, but it doesn't work. I immediately see that this medic is aiming primarily with their strafe and not with their mouse. So I have to go for a circle strafe instead of a matador. This medic strafes to my side and looks as if he's trying to get to the spot behind my back, but it didn't feel like a level 4 to me. What a lot of spies misunderstand is that the name of the leveled stabs aren't based off of your own movement like a matador is. For example, if you strafe side to side and then get a stab, it's a matador because you went from one side to another and you led the enemy into a stab. In circle strafe stabbing, your opponent's movement and how they react to you is what the stabs are named after. Even though I looked like I could have gotten the medic with the stab and I did go forwards and backwards like a level 4, it's not a level 4. Right before the medic went to my side, he strafed towards me rather than strafing away or around me like how a level 4 would. I gave him space on my left to let him pass, but he strafes the other way instead. So even though I went for what looks like a forwards and backwards motion and almost got the medic with a stab, he's actually on level 1 and not on level 4. Now, this is just a bit of acting. I run towards my teammate and he shoots to spy check me. I use that spy check to make it look like I'm just a scout jumping away from the soldier's damage. And this actually persuaded 2 players on the enemy team. It's a shame that I missed the stab because of my soldier friend, but I have more stabbing opportunities later. I decloak and I was going to fight with my teammate spy for the backstab on the soldier, but I know that the red team is spawning and they'll be there shortly. If I can use my teammate spy as a distraction, they'll focus on him and not me. They won't be thinking about checking for spies behind their back either because they'll already have a spy right in front of them. This lets me walk right past their NG, get a stab on the heavy, and also lets me sneak up on the demo man. It's the same situation as the medic here, by the way. It looks like a forwards and sideways level 4 motion, but I know that the demo man is on level 1, and I knew he was on level 1 in the game at this very moment because he is strafing towards versus strafing away or strafing around. I tried to stab the medic, but missed. I recovered with the level 1 stab on the medic. I noticed the same signs of level 1 with this medic and the other medic or demo. If you're wondering how I can recognize so quickly, it comes down to experience. You can sort of feel what level they're on. It's intuition, but not pure intuition, because that intuition has its roots in circle strafe theory. Funnily enough, this soldier is also on level 1. I butter knife him accidentally while he jumps, and he surfs off that damage and gets too far away from my mouse. I turn around because I know he's going to shoot, and me missing the stab and turning around actually saves me from getting backstabbed. This spy tries to strafe around me after butter knifing. I don't ever meet that spy ever again, but I know now that that spy is on level 4. This is the same exact medic as before. Now, players can't switch their levels by choice because the brain can only focus on so much at once. He either has to prioritize aim or movement. Now, because he's so used to matador spies, he focuses on his aim to avoid getting matadored. I don't go for matadors on him because I know that the medic's muscle memory is used to or defaults to level 1 strafes. I go for the stab and I don't retreat after being meleeed twice because of how confident I am that he is on level 1 and that I can counter strafes. And I get him just before reaching the wall, which is good. It's very hard to fight for the level 1 stab once you're at the wall. You usually just switch strafing directions and hope that you can try for it again. I turn the corner and see a level 1 melee medic. He has his crossbow out though, and he jumps backwards and away. I also see a ton of enemies behind him who could support him, so I just run for now. People have different levels on the same classes. This is possible by switching weapon types. Think about it, you don't walk the same way when you're playing Demo Knight versus regular pipe demo. Personally, I move forwards and attack and immediately retreat after melee swinging when I play Demo Knight. I strafe side to side when I use my grenade launcher though. He jumps backwards, and I'm not sure if he's on level 1. It's possible that he's on 4.1, or just genuinely startled and backed away from the corner by reflex and it'll never happen again. If I go for the stab and fail, there's no way I could recover because of how much damage I would immediately sponge. It's just best to leave and come back once I flank from behind. I could also get some health on the way too. I was unable to find out what level this engineer was when I was in game. After looking at his clips, it's kind of obvious that he was on level 4. I was only focusing on how badly timed my stair stab was that I wasn't observing the levels. This bites me in the butt later because I am only able to shoot the engineer in the future. I never get another chance at learning what level he is because he's building on last. I pressed S here to dodge the melee, but it backfired because I was out of range to backstab him as a result. I didn't know what level he was at the time with his primary because it all happened so quickly. I just shot the med. But looking back, I can see that he's strafing the exact same way with his primary and with his melee. I usually never rely on the knife raise animation to know when to stab. You should just know when to stab based off experience because some circle strafes are kind of clutchy. Sometimes by the time the knife raises, it's already too late to stab. In this case, I didn't want to whiff the backstab and lose my disguise and die. There was no risk if I just waited a second longer to get a higher chance of stabbing. On the topic of knife raise animation, I usually tell newer spies to try stabbing with view models off for just a little bit. That way they can learn how to backstab without relying on the animation. I had no idea what level the pyro was at the time. I went for a level 1, but I missed. Looking back, I was actually right all along. He is on level 1. He was just able to turn the strafe, and I just had to get a level 1 stab from the inside. At the time of this video's release, I have not talked about turning the strafe yet. That'll come up in the future. I get overconfident because I know the medic's level and I immediately decloak to go for a stab. I have no idea why the medic decides to melee fight me after seeing me. I just strafe stab 10 people in front of his team in under a minute. I guess he just plays a lot with bad spies, and his past experiences with bad spies makes him think that he has a high chance of winning melee duels against spies because he wins them so often. This is part of what's jokingly called the unholy trinity of trick stab trauma among spies. I think Slurgy said it best. The myth that some people are untrick stabbable comes from bad spies and players who fight those spies. The players who fight the spies and win believe that they are untrick stabbable because they've won so many duels against spies. And the bad spies become discouraged because they miss so many stabs, and they eventually believe that stabbing some players is impossible because they just can't seem to get some people with trick stabs. Now, the engineer that I said was level 4 earlier is actually showing heavy signs of level 1 right now. It is a possibility that he's just a level 4 when a spy tries to go for a stair stab on him. In regular gameplay though, he's a level 1. I tried to go for a level 1, but there were too many people supporting him and he was too far away. Things weren't aligning and I just headshot him and fled. I know this medic's level, but I didn't want to be burned and piped to death. I guess I just play a bit more passively for someone running Dead Ringer. I especially didn't want to risk it because I was at 19 kills. That's just what was going through my head at the time. Now, this is completely irrelevant to spy theory, but this just really confused me at the time, and I ran away from not knowing what to do. Our spy from our team is walking out in the same direction as the soldier from the enemy team. They're just walking side by side. I thought the spy was on the red team, but I realized he didn't have a disguise mask on. I walked away and said out loud, "What the hell is this spy doing? He's just walking out of spawn with someone on the other team." The medic who's on level 1 with melee is healing me, but quickly realizes that I'm a spy. He tries to melee me and I instinctively go for a Matador, which is the wrong stab. It happens sometimes. It's a bad habit to go for those panic stabs, but it just happens. I walk past him to try to get a second chance, but he melees me. I know that there's a very, very low chance of me getting this stab now. The reason is because when you're circle strafing someone and they're using melee, there is a high chance that they'll get their melee swing in first before you get your backstab in. This is just because of how wide the hit scan is with melee weapons are. I can be on the very edge of his screen, but I can still get meleeed by him. So I just run away. It's just not worth it. I try again for a level 1, but I flick inwards towards his back, and I actually shrink the size of my strafing circle. I just end up colliding into his side, and I can't stab him. And then I tried to level 1 the pyro as well, but because of the stairs, it's just not gonna happen. Like, the pyro is strafing away from the stairs, I'm on a completely different elevation. I get one last stab before dying. I run to the soldier to try to stab him with a level 1, but he's level 1 turning the strafe. I try to save myself one last time, but the sniper has a razorback, and I kinda just gave up and died. I was able to squeeze this much theory out of just a 4-minute clip. I hope you learned a lot. Good luck on your espionage.